Good morning, dear students. I will teach you chapter 9. Name of the chapter 9 is the living organisms and their surroundings. Name of the chapter 9 is the living organisms and their surroundings. Now come to the living places of organisms. Look at figure 9.1. What does it show? It shows the living places of some organisms. It shows the living places of some organisms, and some organisms like lotus, water hyacinth and fish live in pond, that is water. They are live in the water. And plants like cacti and animals like a camel can live in a dry conditions, that is the deserts. And still other organisms live in forests or in soil or in burrow. And do you see many sparrows where you live? You probably do, because sparrows like to live near houses and pick up the food scraps that people throw away. And do you see squirrels out in the open fields? No, squirrels like to live on trees where they can feed on nuts and build their nest. So, do you see squirrel on out in the open fields? No, squirrel likes to live on trees and where they can feed on nuts and build their nest. The place where living beings live is called their habitat. The place where living beings live is called the habitat. What is the habitat? A place where living beings live is called their habitat. And a pond is a habitat. In a pond different types of animals are there, and some microorganisms are also there, and different fishes and different organisms are living in a habitat. So what is a habitat? The place where living organisms live is called the habitat. And you know that similarly a forest is another habitat. In forest also different types of animals are there. Different types of big animals are there, just like lion, tiger, etc., elephant, and some small animals are also there. So we can say that forest is also is a type of habitat. And the habitat of sparrows is usually the towns, and the habitat of squirrels is the trees. And the bodies of animals are specially designed or made to help them live in their own habitat. Squirrels have sharp curved claws to give them grip when they climb. They have strong back legs for jumping among the branches and big bushy tails to keep them steady when they jump. Moles live under the ground and they have feet like spades for digging their tunnels. Plants too and live in specific habitats, and cacti live in the hot, dry desert because these plants have fleshy stems for storing any rainwater that falls. Buttercups like to grow in damp, grassy fields when they can get plenty of the sun. Ferns and mosses can be spotted in moist. So you can see that living places, habitats of some organisms. Giraffes can eat tree leaves and live in forest. Giraffes live in the forest. And diagram you can see that moles live in the burrows and use their powerful spades like legs for digging. And in jungles, vines climb trees to reach the sunlight. Lotus occur in a pond. And earthworm live in a soil. Sheep make it too easy to burrow through the soil. And then cacti can live in the desert, and they have fleshy stems to store water. And you can see in the diagram, this is the fleshy stems that they can store the water. This is the cacti plant. Cacti plant you can see in the diagram. Then water hyacinth in a pond, and camel lives in a desert and fish lives in water. So different animals lives in the different environment, as I told you in the diagram. And what is the habitat? The place where living organisms lives is called its habitat. And in habitat you can see that different types of habitats are like aquatic habitat, terrestrial habitat, arboreal habitat. Different types of habitats are there, and different organism lives in the different habitat. So I start chapter 9 and living organisms and their surroundings. So in this chapter we will discuss about the living organisms and what they require, what is their requirement. So till here you will take revision, sorry, till here you will read.